This is the Straight to Video podcast. So first one I'm doing under the new name. I couldn't do the weigh-in anymore. It's still too common, honestly. If we look up the weigh-in, you probably get so many other things other than my podcast. I needed something that was just mine, honestly. And I looked up Straight to the Video podcast, and there wasn't a lot. There was like one other one. Didn't look like the guy was too committed to it. So I'm going to take it. It's mine now. I'm doing Straight to Video podcast. The other one wasn't. It was like the Straight to Movie. It was something. It was a movie podcast. It wasn't this. Okay, it wasn't a fight podcast. And I'm not sure that really this thing describes a fight podcast. Like, it's not really a fight podcast thing, but that's why I kind of like it also. But let's get to it. You know what I do here, right? I either talk on the subject already that I have predetermined in mind. I don't have that here today. I'm kind of just going to go. And I'm going to go on Twitter. I'm going to read what they're saying. UFC really screwed Ngannou today. I don't know why. I don't know why UFC doesn't like stars. I'm guessing they don't need them anymore. I think that the brand, I'm not sure people are even MMA fans, honestly. I think people are UFC fans. I think the UFC knows that. I think UFC is like counting on that they're just UFC fans. I don't think a bunch of people are watching Bellator. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same amount of fans that are watching UFC that are watching Bellator. So that tells me that they trust the brand more than the thing, because Bellator, the fighting is like catching up to the UFC. Not there yet, but it's getting there. Right? And people are going to defend the UFC till, like, I don't know. It just happens in boxing too, like where people watch PBC, but they won't watch Matchroom, right? And maybe their favorite fighters on there, but this happens. This is like people just choose one thing and they're just loyal to it. People drink Coca-Cola and won't drink Pepsi. I'll be honest, when I ask for it, I don't care which one they say. You know what I mean? They're like, I asked Coca-Cola, and they're like, nope, we only have Pepsi. And I'm just like, yeah, I think everybody's like that. But when it comes to fighting, they're not. You know what I mean? They're not. They just choose UFC. No one's really, I've never heard anyone, I'll be honest with you, in my life, ever ask me if I watched the Bellator this weekend. It's never been asked to me. I know fight fans. I know a lot of MMA fans. It's only UFC. So I think the UFC is just counting on the brand. They don't give a damn about any of the fighters. And they don't care about what they're doing to Francis Ngannou, which isn't right, by the way, which isn't right what they do to the belt, because the one thing I think the UFC has, especially over boxing, other than they can make force their fighters to fight, that's going to get interesting, by the way, but let me hold on that. Is their belts mean something? You know who the champs are. There's one belt. Everybody's gunning for it. That means something. But the one thing, let me just get into this now. I just thought of this right now. You know, with Bellator gaining credibility, right? With PFL gaining credibility, the fighters are going to be across the street in the wrong promotion all of a sudden, right? You got McKee versus Pitbull. And to me, that's like, whoever wins that is has a claim to being the best 145er in the world. And they're not going to fight Volkanovski until one of them's free, or unless Volkanovski's free and goes to Bellator. And I don't think there's anyone in their prime. Well, I mean, anyone like that was a champ level in their prime left and went to Bellator. I don't think so. But now you got two guys that can't fight each other. This would be like probably the first time like in MMA since what, Pride days? Since Fedor Couture or Wanderlei Silva, Axe Murder or something like that? Wanderlei Silva versus Chuck Liddell, right? That couldn't happen because it was Pride UFC. We might start running into the same issues here that we're having in boxing, but that's not what I'm here talking about. I'm here talking about how they're screwing Ngannou over. They're diminishing the titles, but I don't really know. Like, maybe the UFC are a bunch of geniuses, right? Like, maybe Dana White is a genius and he's just thinking way above me. I can't see what they see of diminishing their fighters, other than they just say the brand is bigger than the fighter, which I'm guessing that's what it is. It's just like Tom Brady could retire tomorrow, which he's close to it, right? And the NFL knows it's going to survive. And maybe that's what the UFC wants. And they just don't care about stars. And which I've been arguing forever. I've had like this conversation over and over again, so I don't really want to get into it again. But it's like the brand is bigger than everything else. And they don't care to respect the fighters. They don't care to thing. And someone had brought up on Twitter to my attention that, you know, Ngannou did complain about pay. He did add a few comments about pay, and maybe that's just them sticking to him. Very interesting that they would do that. Seems like in this, you know, they would kind of like want to shy away from that, but I guess not. They're just like an aggressive company, and that's just the way they do it. But are we really going to recognize Gane or Derek Lewis as a heavyweight champ if they win this fight? I'm not. I can't. We have to start looking at this now. Like, Bill Simmons, I think, does an excellent podcast because he looks at the little things, right? Like, he just did a thing where who was like the I guess like the worst team to ever win a title, right? He did that, right? And like sometimes you don't even think like that. You're just like, oh, this team won a title. I'll leave it at that. And then he's like, let's get into it. We have to start looking into the champs. Like, who was really champ, right? Was Conor really the featherweight champ of the world when he beat Mendes, or is he featherweight champ when he beats Aldo, right? Does Poirier really ever been a champ? These are things that really kind of have to be answered. But I'm not going to recommend. This is one where I'm going to draw a line. They're the number one contender. They won the number one contender belt. They're not the champ. They're the number one contender belt. They should make a number one contender belt. If the UFC wants more belts and they feel like they need it for main events, make number one contender belts. And then all these number one contender fights could be main events or pay-per-views. Just make a number one contender belt. Why call it interim title? It doesn't make sense. Make a number one contender belt. From the belt and they give it to the number one contender guy. It seems to make sense to me, right? But Conor just won 3 months ago. It's fresh in my mind. Why diminish it? Why diminish the belt? I don't know. I'm not going to recognize it. I won't recognize the UFC. I'll draw the line here somewhere. You've been able to make all the rules because you've had all the fighters, you've had all the one title and then the ranking system. You made all the rules. I'm drawing lines here. I do not recognize that belt. I will not. I will not call the guys champ or anything. They are the number one contender. That's it. Let's get to Twitter. Okay, let's go here. We got that Pacquiao lawsuit. I guess we could talk about that. I don't know what to make of any of these things. So they're asking for them to put a hold on that fight. But if Pacquiao, and I'm reading that Pacquiao had like 5 managers, right? He had like 5 managers at one point. Well, if he signed with all of them, right, and he was signed with these guys before he was signed with those guys, at one point, does he have something that says that they weren't his promotions anymore, or they have anything that said they weren't they weren't managing him, or maybe only thing I can see is that he owes everyone a cut of the fight, 5 different guys a cut of the fight he made with Spence, but I can't see them stopping this fight. But then again, I didn't see them stopping the Joshua Fury fight. So who knows? I don't know. I'm not going to act like I do. A lot of people say they know I have a sore throat, same cocaine. See, why is that a view topic? Like, why would that be a view topic for me? You might like, why the hell would I like that? That's what I want to know. That doesn't make me look good. I have a podcast here where I show my Twitter account. The things that I like, right? The things that I follow, I'm interested in. Sore throat, same cocaine. Not me. Wrong guy. Twitter, fix your algorithm. Okay, but Pacquiao, right? Won't he just owe these guys, though, money? I feel like that's how this ends at the end, where there's like, well, he was managing you owe him 5%. And 5 guys, 5% is 25%. It's a lot of pay. It's a lot of money. So I don't know, but I can't see him stopping this fight. That's just my thing. Everyone's going to act like they know. A lot of people are going to say that they called it, whatever. I don't know. I'll be the one guy that takes that stand. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Deontay Wilder hitting weights. It's to the point where Deontay Wilder, like, this happens, and I'm trying to be careful with it, right? We're like, Wilder's fans, which I was a fan of Wilder. I'm a fan of Wilder. I think, like, the more I'm covering the fights and stuff like that, maybe I'm becoming less of a fan of these guys and just want to see good fights and good matchups, right? But, like, there could be guys where they're fans. I think sometimes they're so ridiculous that it makes you, like, almost like not root for their fighter. Like, you kind of want to see them be wrong. I mean, it has nothing to do with the fighter. It's just they just happen to be backing him. I think Wilder's entering that point, right, where it's like you either hate him or love him, but it's mostly not because of Wilder, because Wilder, to me, is like, he's always been like a person you want to like. I've always liked Wilder. But it's funny, like, the following he has on Twitter, right, of people that, and maybe the excuses that he made, and then, like, people just saying, like, just defending him to the end, which I'm okay with. If you're a fan of him, then I'm fine with that. But just like all these things, I was looking at like the fight with him and Fury, right? I actually was watching parts of it today. Now, okay, let's say the gloves, right? They said that they took the padding out the gloves. The problem with it too is that there's never a consistent one thing, right? So they drugged the water, they took the padding out the gloves. He was holding an egg weight in his hand when he was punching. He lifted the gloves up so where he was punching with his wrist. Too many things, right? Too many things. If you're going to break the rule, I don't think you go and try to break all of them. I really don't. I think you probably try to break 1, maybe 2. And drugging the water seems like, if you're going to do that one, you probably just leave it alone there. But to go for, I'm going to drug the water. I'm going to take the padding out the gloves. I'm going to lift the glove. I'm going to punch through the wrist. I'm going to hold an egg weight. It's just a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like if you going to get, someone wants to get caught, that's the way to get caught, right? So to me, it's kind of hard to believe. But so that's like maybe like, I don't know. I saw the fight again. If he's punching with his wrist, he lands a lot of straight jabs, right? So that would eliminate the idea of he's punching with his wrist. He lands a lot of straight jabs, Fury does. He also hurts Wilder with the right hand, right? And that's straight on the glove, like where your knuckle would land. The Wilder thing, that's a hard one to claim. It's a hard one to, I think the most interesting part about the fight, right, besides the fight, it's going to be like the glove check, when they enter the ring, what the Wilder camp watches, what they want them to watch, all these things. I think to me, the most interesting part, like the reason why this fight's going to sell is just because people are going to want to see that part of like them checking Fury's gloves. All these things is the things. It's going to make it interesting. But we're at the point where we're like super critical. You either really love what Deontay Wilder is doing or you really hate it. I don't really want to be there. I was getting there a little bit where I was like, I don't know, I was being negative on Wilder, and I'm like, I don't want to be there. I don't agree with all things. I don't think that Fury cheated, but I don't really know. We're going to find out. I think if the fight looked exactly the same with everybody with the spotlight on Fury, then we're going to find out. And if Wilder looks super fresh, right, and he just destroys Fury, well, then that would kind of make it look like something happened, wouldn't it? But the one thing is like, have you ever seen Wilder look like that? Well, I've never seen him get beat down like that. So no, of course I've never seen that because I've never seen him get beat down before. That's what it looked like. Looked like he got beat down. That's what it looked like. I don't know. But you got to be careful with like Twitter sometimes because it just makes you feel negative on things. And that's why I was feeling a little negative on Wilder. But it's just his fans. I don't know. It's sometimes these guys act like they want to talk boxing. They don't really want to talk boxing. They want to talk to their favorite fighter and excuses why he lost and stuff like that. And that's fine too. That's boxing's here for that too. I don't think that's the direction I'm going with this. I think I want to be just like cover boxing and talk boxing and add like strategic advice or not strategic advice, but strategic breakdowns and my opinions on news breaking. I think I more want that and more like a general stance. And some guys just want to focus on Deontay Wilder. I'm cool with that. Everybody find your lane. I'm all right with that. It took me a little while to wrap my head around that. Let's see here. Erickson Lubin, keep that same energy. Don't switch up now. The one thing I'm proud of, I never saw Erickson Lubin stock. I never did. Even when he got knocked out, I was like, that guy's really talented. He just got that fight too soon. He is still really talented. Chin questionable, but still really talented. And I think that him having his chin questionable almost makes him a better fighter. Like, just keep him defensively sound because he could be one of the best defensive fighters in boxing. He has that kind of skill. And he really can pick his shots. He has long arms. He has good power. I really like Erickson Lubin. I want to see him fight Charlo again. Or the winner, Castano. Francis Ngannou retweeted Irohawani. Let's see here. Between 2019 and March 2021, Ngannou fought once for a combined 20 seconds. Couldn't sniff an interim. I'm guessing that's what you said. IC title shot, interim championship title shot. Yeah, interim championship. And now 3 months after he wins, it seems to be on the cusp of seems to be on the cusp of stardom. He is not has to see an interim championship. I really don't like it, but title fight made. Doesn't seem right. Nothing has been right here. So Ngannou's speaking out. I'm super curious how this plays out. I don't know why the UFC did this to Ngannou. And just a guy that couldn't be more likable. Story couldn't be more likable. Heavy hitter, KO guy. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get what the UFC saying. Bob Arum has been Crawford's toughest opposition at 147. Brian Blake. That's a good tweet. That is a good tweet. Everybody's saying like, who's Crawford going to fight? And Jose Cepeda seems to be the name they're going to go with. Cepeda's a 140 guy. Good fighter. Like, to me, beat Jose Ramirez. Didn't get the decision. Didn't have the best performance last fight. Had fight of the year a year ago. He's not 147 guy. He's not that big to do that. Now, I'm good with him. I'm glad he's going to get the payday, right? I'm sure that comes with fighting Crawford. I think people need to realize that this is Crawford's last fight with Top Rank. It's going to be his last fight with Top Rank. He's not going to stay with Top Rank. Okay, the way Bob Arum talked about him, the way he's treated him, these fights, all these things. He's not going to stay there. He's going to leave, right? He's going to go to the PBC, I believe. And the fight that we thought could never happen with him and Spence is going to suddenly be made next year or the end of this year. I don't see why, like, to me, like, I'm not a journalist. I don't have any sources. I don't have any of that. I can see that writing on the wall. This is his last fight. And if it's Cepeda, then he'll take it. He'll win that fight. And then he'll go and fight Spence. The fight's going to happen. Now, the point is, it's got to happen sooner than later, right? It's going to happen pretty soon here. And I don't know if the PBC is going to want him to do another, a Porter fight, Danny Garcia fight, Thurman fight, to kind of like build his name, get him with the PBC audience, the crowd that watches PBC. But the fight's going to happen. I feel really confident that next year we will be watching Earl Spence versus Terence Crawford. And if that's the first me here announcing it first, I'll put my chips in. I think that I'm pretty confident that that's going to happen. Let's see here. Let's see. The Pacquiao lawsuit. It doesn't interest me. Like it interests me. Like I want to see how it plays out, but it doesn't interest me to talk about because I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about the law of it or anything like that. So I know a lot of people are going to have an opinion on it or whatever, but I don't know. I don't really have a strong thing on it. I hope it doesn't cancel the Spence fight because I think that's a really good fight. I had no interest in that Mikey Garcia fight. And I had no interest in him fighting Conor. So I hope it doesn't cancel the Spence fight. That's the only thing I can say. Trying to see what else can we touch on right now. I guess we can talk about, who Tank Davis is going to fight next, right? Here, let's go full screen on this bad boy. Tank Davis is a pay-per-view guy now, right? Mayweather to me, he's managed this all correctly, promoted this all perfectly for Tank Davis. I gotta give Mayweather's credit. I think like De La Hoya doesn't get enough credit for what Golden Boy does. Sometimes I think De La Hoya makes very stupid decisions, but I gotta give him credit on that, right? On the Golden Boy cards are solid. The matches all make sense. They always take like the next logical thing. Sometimes I think promoters have a hard time with that. Everything they've done for Tank has made sense. But the problem I see them having is they're definitely not going to want to cross the street. They're not going to want to fight Lomachenko. I think that Lomachenko maybe doesn't sell the way, maybe sells as much as like him fighting Barrios, right? So they're saying, why not just fight another guy like Barrios, then take a chance of a guy that's talented as Lomachenko? But who are they going to go next? Like, just look at the PBC thing, right? What are they going to do? Gary Russell is like one thing I heard, right? Gary Russell at 130, but has Gary Russell fought at 130 yet? I don't believe so. And I think you would have to get him a fight at 130 to show that he's like credible, and then to build him as like he could be Tank's new opponent. You got to get that narrative in there. At 135, they don't have no one. They have absolutely no one. At 140, right? If you beat Barrios, if Progress seems a little bit too, I think that'd be a little bit too much, right? For the size and the power, speed. Progress might be a little bit too much for Tank. I think the Barrios at points did look pretty big and was kind of effective at moments against Tank. I don't think they want Progress to have that kind of effectiveness against Tank with his power. I do think 147 is an option. I really do. With the right opponent, I think that they might do that. I think that's the gimmick that's going to possibly work here, right? If you don't have a logical opponent at 135, 147 sounds just on, doesn't even matter the opponent. If you just say the Tank's going to 147, that sounds alone. The weight is the challenge, not even the opponent. I think Stanionis makes a lot of sense. It's a guy that comes forward. I have this on my other podcast. I talked about this on my Spotify and Apple podcast. That's the Ezra podcast, EZRAW podcast. And I talk about this, Stanionis, right? I truly believe that fight makes sense. He's come forward, action fighter. Tank's not going to have to find him. He's going to be able to counter him. He's going to be the faster. All his qualities are like all his, abilities and everything are superior to Stanionis, right? But Stanionis can take a shot. He's going to come forward. He's entertaining. He's up and coming. He's undefeated. I think that fight kind of makes sense. I think that honestly, I wouldn't be surprised that's where they go to 147 for Tank. I did think Danny Garcia too, but I think Danny Garcia wants to go 154. I think he's about that. Now, if there's a lot of money with the Gervonta Davis fight at 147, of course, Danny would consider it. Danny's really a 140 guy. I mean, that's just the truth of it. So I think that makes sense too, is like size-wise, he's not too different than Barrios, who Barrios is considering on 147. I think 147 is the only option. I can't think of anything else. You can say Gary Russell, but that's going to take some time to build. I think Gary Russell has to fight someone else, and I heard he's fighting Ray Vargas next. That's still at like 125. Tank's is like, they're going to keep him pay-per-view, so it has to be like that. I'm putting my chips in Stanionis. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to say that Terrence Crawford fights Earl Spence next year, and I'm going to say that Gervonta Davis moves to 147 next. If you're not going to cross the street, and it doesn't seem like anyone wants to cross the street, besides like, I think the guys in Top Rank want to do it. I don't know if Gervonta Davis wants to do it. His promotions definitely don't. Bob Arum definitely doesn't want his guys leaving. None of the promotions want their guys leaving, right? They just don't. Devin Haney's in Matchroom is like, him and Ryan Garcia makes sense. That fight could possibly happen. Doesn't seem like Ryan Garcia is too interested in it. I don't think Ryan Garcia is too interested in being in with Golden Boy anymore. So we're going to see how that plays out. But I just think that Tank's going to have to go like a Manny Pacquiao route, which is like, how big can he go? Is his power still effective? Can he still get stoppages? It's going to be like that. That's what's going to sell. Elite guys at his weight. Well, they're going that direction. They get the rematch and they are two elite guys fighting at their weight. Ryan Garcia. Gervonta's like kind of off in his own thing, and these other guys are fighting each other, and Gervonta is kind of just like that guy on the outside. I have my doubts. Yeah. So I don't think he can sell on his own yet, but to a point where it's like, hey, he can actually lose this. This might be biting off more than he could chew. And that's where they go next. That's where I'm going to wrap this up. This has been the Straight to Video podcast. Thanks for listening.